Well, this is Sigma's brand new 135mm f1.4 DG for L-mount, and I've paired it with its obvious partner here, the Sigma BF. And this is the spiritual successor to their 105mm f1.4 they made for DSLR mounts, which was very well regarded as a portrait lens. They're both large, bright aperture lenses, and therefore you're probably less likely to use it for street photography like I do with a 105mm. But it has many uses, and I'm not going to cover all of them in this video. In fact, I'm not even going to cover most of the features of this in this video. The only thing that matters is, does it produce beautiful photos? Let's go find out. Now, a great test of any lens is to shoot foliage. It's full of complicated shapes, it's full of twigs, things like that, and it causes a lot of problems for a lot of lenses. It's one of the major things you notice about how wildlife lenses perform, is whether you end up with sort of duplicate, blurry sticks, all that sort of stuff. It really isn't a worry on this lens because it blows everything so wildly out of focus and with such a smooth effect that you just don't see those sorts of issues. It's actually a wild thing to look at. And I was photographing a hedge a few minutes ago, and basically everything past the bit that you want in focus is just a soft green blur. It's really, really impressive. And it does give you the opportunity, therefore, to get really isolated subjects in the middle of nowhere. And it's a fairly odd focal length to shoot outdoors as a prime lens, because you can isolate people in the middle of fields. It's oddly sensible. Any longer and you start to lose the context of where they are. But here it's weirdly quite fun to shoot it for street photography. And yes, the way it blurs things out is very, very smooth. So why is it so smooth? Let's take a look at some of the bokeh characteristics of this lens. Now, one nice benefit of the 105mm front element is that you can see the aperture plates very easily. So as they come in, you can see the iris is nice and round, which is going to give us a very nice circular bokeh in the background. It's obviously irrelevant when the lens is wide open, but it affects the rendering as you stop down. So we're going to take a look at the differences there. Well, a thunderstorm has started, and I'm currently underneath a surprisingly watertight acer tree, and don't even know what this is, an apple. But they're the shortest trees in the field, so my chances of survival are relatively good, I think. So I might as well talk about the bokeh while I'm here, and it's really impressive. The character of the lens is different wide open to as you stop it down, and that is interesting because there's very few other lenses that go to f1.4 at this focal length, so you're getting something extra and then still getting what they can offer as well. For example, the Nikon 1.8 Plena, which is a fantastic lens, obviously only goes to 1.8. So this goes further, it is blurrier, notably so, and the bokeh at 1.4 is fantastic. It's big, it's soft, there's no soap bubble effect, there's no onion rings, and the only aspect of peculiar character, I suppose, is that it does have a cat's eye effect in the corners, and I like that because it gives it character. Otherwise it'd be a bit boring, I think. And it's so soft, but with a nice cat's eye effect. I think it's lovely for portraiture. It really does have a great look. Now, that cat's eye effect is gone at 1.8, or mostly gone, and it's definitely gone thereafter. Again, very impressive. So it's already changed its character by that point. As you stop down further, a soap bubble effect does start to appear at the smaller apertures. Doesn't seem to make it look notably busier, but it is an aspect of its character. Still no onion ringing effect, and honestly, it's just really nice. It's seriously impressive. Wide open, it's just soft. It's sharp, the lens is still sharp, but the bokeh is very, very soft, and it is very impressive. Now, one more characteristic of the bokeh which is important is the presence of longitudinal chromatic aberration. And this is where the outer focus areas can display a different color tinge caused by the lens resolving the different color wavelengths at different points. It's very common in retro lenses, in older lenses. And if you want a good example, go and check out my recent video about the TT Artisan 40mm f2 and its comparison to the Nikon 40mm f2, both of which display it in some way. This contributes to the busyness of a background because you're getting extra colors in it on the edges of the bokeh balls, and it makes it look busier, and it colors the backgrounds and the foregrounds in a way that's quite hard to resolve. So if you're aiming for perfection, you shouldn't have that. And as far as I can tell, this doesn't. I've not managed to provoke it in any way. If it is there, it's extremely minor, and it is fantastic. This is going to be another reason why it renders so very smoothly in the outer focus areas. And one final characteristic of its image is its contrast. It's weirdly resistant to flare. I think a big part of that's probably down to the lens hood, which is practically the same height as the lens again. I haven't shot it much without it because I don't have a filter large enough to protect the lens, and I shot it at an event in order to test this. I was shooting into backlighting a lot, very strong stage lighting. With this very large hood on, you've got practically no side light going into the lens. It's a longer focal length as well, so it's going to be very focused. I think the margin where you're going to get any sort of flare would be extremely small angles. It's very, very impressive. Obviously I could have taken the hood off and tried it like that, but it's not my lens, I don't want to damage it. And if I put a filter on the front of it, it could affect the image in ways that the base lens won't. So overall, seriously impressive, to the point it kind of wound me up because I was looking for those effects. But this is what you want from a professional level optic. You can put those effects in later. You can do it in software, you can put a mist filter on the front of it if you want that glow. These are things you can add on when you've got a really, really good quality base image. And finally, that brings me to my one problem with some of Sigma's recent lens releases. No, not the quality of the lens, it's fantastic. And it's not the price. This is £1,649, which is expensive, but it's a bargain compared to the other lenses like this on the market. And that's where the problem lies, because the other manufacturers, I think, are quite scared of the step forward that Sigma has made in the last sort of 15 years. And they are starting to be a bit of a problem for some of these manufacturers who are asking an awful lot more money for no better. The Plena from Nikon, which is not as bright as this, has an RRP of £1,000 more than this lens. It is nowhere near £1,000 better. Is it £700 better because that's its current reduced price? No. This is a problem for those manufacturers, and it's why I don't expect to see it on their mounts anytime soon. So Sigma has a problem here because they're only on E and L mount. On E mount, their lens is restricted. That's a problem for the sportier wildlife focus lenses like the 200 and the 300 to 600. Less of a problem for this. But there's still no gripped high-end body from Sony, and I like a gripped body for professional work. A lot of people do. It offers a lot more than sticking a wobbly battery grip on the bottom of a tiny cramped camera. And on the L mount, it's a bit of a mess. The BF is fantastic. This is clearly not ergonomic. It's not the best design to go with this lens. It's supposed to take smaller lenses. It takes nice photos, but it is ridiculous. And Panasonic has shown time and again they're not interested in making high-end photo cameras. They, I think, are hobbled by the processor architecture they've got in their cameras. Same with Leica, because they share the same processors. And even their current top-end photo camera, the S1R2, isn't as photo as it could be. They could have made it a 61 megapixel camera, but they chose that 45 megapixel sensor, I would assume mostly for video, so they could tout it as an 8K camera. Loads of reviewers were going on about its video capabilities, but I thought it was supposed to be the high-resolution photo camera. And again, no gripped body. Now, the one camera on which I think this will probably end up being used the most outside of the Sony ecosystem, probably the Leica SL3. This is a phenomenal piece of glass, and it would suit that camera for professional portraiture, for weddings. event work, etc., really, really well. I do have some concerns about the ergonomics of Leica cameras when used for long periods of time. The SL3 is a really nice camera, but I've not used it for a long period of time, so maybe it's great, but I don't know. Again, it's still not a gripped body, and it's got some concerns around battery life, stuff like that. Essentially what I'm saying is I want this on the Z9, and I don't think that's going to happen. So what are the options going forward? Well, Sigma just need to make their own pro-grade mirrorless camera. Is that too much to ask? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you next time.